Hey, ladies and gentlemen, this is the Yo Baby Daddy podcast, episode 9, and today we are talking about being a stepmother and all the intricacies behind it. Our guest today is actually an anonymous guest, so no video, but she is doing audio. We won't be saying any names or anything like that, but she is going to be talking about her stories and her experiences in life with being a stepmother.
Yep. Um, just so everybody knows, we wanted to get a female's perspective. We already had a male's perspective on this point, but we wanted to get a female's perspective. So on this one, it's going to be about just pretty much being a step parent in general and everything that comes with it, the ups and the downs. So the first question that I wanted to ask was, at what age did you come into the child that you became a step parent to?
I started dating my husband around the age of 22,
Okay.
if I'm correct.
And the child was like what, like 9 years old, 10?
She at that time was 5.
Mm.
Okay.
Okay. 5 years old. All right. That's a very crucial point because at that point they kind of don't really remember like anything. You know what I mean? Like at 5 years old, that's when they start getting memories. So you came at the perfect time, I guess, in my point of view, where you start creating memories like from the beginning, per se. Even
Yeah.
though you weren't there like for the very very beginning, at 5 years old, they they start developing memories, in my opinion. So what I was gonna say is, have you ever asked her now that she's older? Have you asked her like, hey, do you remember this? Like when I came in, or do you remember when we went on this trip or whatever? Like, does she remember memories like that?
Her herself, she would come up to me and, Mom, do you remember this? Or do you remember when we did this? I remember when I was little and we did all these things. Like, so she comes up to me, like, to tell me her stories of
So
what she remembers.
so you'll be there surprised, like, oh wow.
Yeah, I'll be like, how do you even remember that? And then I have to, like, think back and say, holy crap, that did happen.
Yeah, that's crazy. I was gonna say, Pete, on your story was a little bit where you know how you came into. I think was it your daughter that you kind of came in a little late, because of what happened.
um, yeah, yeah. Because of all the things that happened, I came into her life when she was two and a half.
Mm-hmm.
The hardest part for me was getting over that transitionary period because she was so attached to her mother, that being without her was the hardest thing. And I'm not saying anything against it. It's just
Yeah.
it was just hard as a father coming in trying to pick up the pieces and form a relationship, when it would have been much easier to do it from the beginning. You know,
Yeah.
I'm a very strong believer on imprinting. When your kids are young, if you're around them enough, especially when they're babies, they'll get to know you and they'll get to know, hey, this is my parent basically.
Oh,
But
okay.
yeah.
Same thing with you. Do you kind of now? Does she herself talk to you about, oh, Dad, I remember this or whatever,
No.
have you ever asked her that, like, old memories?
She Okay. So weird thing. She doesn't remember off the top of her head,
Yeah.
but the reason that she remembers is because somebody brought it up. So it's like a memory that's like way back in her head, like
Oh.
way back.
Oh, okay.
Um
I see what you mean.
so yeah, so the other person walked out of her life, about like when she was three and a half, right
Mm-hmm.
around there, about three. The only reason she remembers anything about them is because she remembers, um, his niece, and that's it.
Yeah.
Other than that, she doesn't remember the person at all. With my son, he kind of remembers, but he doesn't really, because it's you know how like your first memories are hazy
Yeah.
and you
Yeah.
don't really like super finely remember them. I feel like that's the same thing for me as well. Even being an adult, I don't remember that stuff. Um,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's weird. I wouldn't. How do I put it? I'm not worried about it. I'm not really worried about them having past memories or anything like that.
Mm-hmm.
I'm more worried about the now. You know.
Yeah. Going back to our guest here, uh, when you came at that age, he said she was 5. How long did it take, or take like many years for her to get used to you, just in general?
Well, when I first started dating my husband, we really didn't hang out when she was around.
Okay.
Only to the fact that, we were barely dating. He didn't want to introduce us because, as it is, we didn't know if we were going to be together for a long time.
Yeah.
We were barely at the beginning of the dating, so I think maybe it took a year before she decided and said, Daddy, I want to meet Brenda. I want to know who she is. So
Yeah.
she walked out of the house
Mm-hmm.
and walked up to me, and she looked at me, and then she got shy and then said hi to me.
Oh, okay. But
Okay.
did she? Obviously, everybody's experience is different. But did you feel like she welcomed you with like open arms, or did you feel like she was a little bit shy or like aggressive towards you?
No, she was really, really shy. Because
Oh,
out of stories and what I heard, her growing up, her mother really sheltered her.
mm.
So she really, like, if somebody came up, she'd be like, no, you can't hold her. No, she
Oh.
doesn't know you, so you can't go near
Okay.
her. And then when she was with my husband, they just pass her around to the whole family so she could, be comfortable and everything. But my husband only had her, what, 4.5 days out of the whole month.
Yeah.
So it really wasn't much to show her it's okay for you to be around family, around people.
Yeah.
And she mostly lived over there at that time. So
Mhm.
she was really, I'm going to hide behind your leg. Don't
Mhm.
come near me. I'm protected type of deal.
Yeah. Okay, that makes sense. And was that kind of like a new experience to you? Before, did you ever like whether you dated someone or just family members in general? Did you kind of get a vibe from other family members, like kids like that were shy? Like, were you used to that?
Not really, because mostly all the kids I've been around, they've either been family or they have been people that were like family to me. Because I've seen them grown up.
Yeah.
So they knew who I was.
Yeah. Everybody was
So-
kind of friendly.
Yeah, and even then, when I would meet like my friends' kids or anything, they were always hyper and yelling and screaming, saying hi, this
The
and that,
complete
and,
opposite.
telling their parents secrets without even knowing you, type of deal.
Yeah.
So when she was shy, I was like, oh my god, does she not like me?
Dang, that's crazy. Pete, throwing this to you. You know how you've been not with the baby mama for a while. Whether you were dating someone else or just like how same thing, other friends or even relatives, are they similar to your kids? Do you kind of know what to do now?
Okay, so there have been instances where I'm talking to someone
Mhm.
and how do I put it? Like I've been around their kids, mostly just as friends as first. Um, it's a little bit different, especially when you're a single parent dating or trying to date other single parents.
Yeah.
It's it everybody's different. Some mothers will be like, no, you can't meet my kids, or some of them will be like, yeah, go ahead and come over, we'll have dinner or whatever, or you can meet the kids or whatever, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Usually I'll always start out as friends, like we'll hang out, we'll chill, we'll have conversations together, and then we'll just go from there. If it evolves into a relationship, then cool. If not, then it's just a friendship. So
Mhm.
yeah. But as far as somebody meeting my kids, if we're in an actual relationship, probably not going to meet them right away, um, unless we've been friends before and our kids have met each other and they've played together and stuff like that. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Excuse me. Sorry. Going back to our guest here. Now let's move it on a little bit further into like the kid's life. Do you feel like she has accepted you more, or do you feel like it's always been accepting since the very beginning of you playing the role of a parent?
I think now, because with my backstory, we've really been through a lot.
Yeah.
So now that she's a little more grown, she's at a very young age, she realized that, in her words, that I am a very important person in her life.
Uh-huh.
And it really took a while for us to get there. It was really hard to get to that point due to the fact of everything that we were going through.
Mhm.
So I feel pretty good because she calls me mom.
Mm-hmm.
And when she introduces me as mom, not her stepmom.
Yeah.
At first, she would call me by my name all the time.
Yeah.
Until she herself came up to me and told me, "Is it okay if I call you mom? Like, are you okay with that? I want to show you that I love you more by calling you mom instead
Yeah.
of by your name." So I think we've come a long way.
Yeah. Going back with the mom thing, did it kind of freak you out, or was it like a heartwarming moment when the first time you heard it from her mouth say, "Hey, this is my mom," or "Hey, mom," or you know?
I played it cool. I was all like, "Yeah, that's great. If that's what you want,
Yeah.
I appreciate it. It means a lot to me."
Yeah.
But later on, I was like, "Oh my God, I love her. She's calling me mom. I can't believe I'm a mom." Before I always tell myself, "Okay, I'm getting married. I'm about to become a stepmom. It's gonna be different."
Yeah.
But it was more like, okay, but it's only gonna be every other weekend. So am I really like a full time mom, or just a full time mom when she's here? Like,
Yeah.
how does it work? I was confused at that time. But then,
So
Go ahead, Pete.
okay, so quick question. So Jaime told me a little bit of your backstory. When did that transition happen? When you became the every other weekend mom to the full time mom? Like, I know you guys have full custody of her now, right?
yes, we do. It
Okay.
happened in 2016. I will never
Oh,
forget.
Okay.
So what ended up happening? Me and my husband had just gotten married. That same year. Let's say about 3 or 4 months later, it was supposed to be my husband's weekend. He was contacting the mother, letting her know, "Hey, when am I supposed to pick her up? How are we gonna figure out for her birthday?"
Yeah.
And she never answered. We waited 5 days, still nothing. Well, my husband had a gut feeling, and he said, "You know what? I'm just gonna look up her name." So she looks up the mother's name, and we find out that she's in jail. And
Damn.
Oh,
yeah,
shit.
to the point where she was trafficking cocaine with her at time boyfriend.
Damn.
Oh.
Damn.
But
Oh, damn.
yeah, it wasn't like no little thing like, "Oh, it's in the car, we found you at the checkpoint."
Fucking,
It was a whole type of deal that they were doing a whole investigation for a few years
Oh,
in order
So
to
we're
catch
going-
them.
So it went full narcos,
Yeah, pretty much.
literally.
Damn.
Okay. Damn. Okay. Shit.
And
What was the process of that? Like, did you guys just immediately go pick up your daughter, or?
well, that same day that we found out, my husband left work. He called the
Okay.
grandmother and asked her, "Hey, I've been trying to call, my daughter's mother.
Yeah.
She's not picking up. What's going on?" And first of all, she was like, "Oh, well, her phone's broken. It's not working. So if you need to get in contact with her, call me, and I could give you whatever you need." And then my husband's all like, "Okay, come on now. I know what's up. Stop lying to me." And then the grandmother already confessed, and she said, "Okay." So that same time, he told her, "I'm gonna go pick her up, and she is staying with me. She is my daughter, and nobody else is gonna be taking care of her but me." So I got out of work that day. At the time we were still living in McAllen, and we all met at the apartment. We waited there. He looked at me and literally just told me, "Are you ready?" And I looked at him like, "Holy crap. What do you mean if I'm ready? I have to be ready. Question is, are you ready? You haven't had her full time. She's your kid, you know?
Yeah.
Your
Mm-hmm.
baby mama just went to jail. What are we gonna do? How are we gonna tell her?" All these things were just running through my mind. I had no clue what I was doing.
Yeah.
I was freaking out, but
Mm-hmm.
as a wife, I was staying calm for him. So
Yep.
he didn't feel like, "Shit, she's about to leave me."
Yeah. So it's kind of like the expression where it's like you learn on the job. You
Yeah.
basically you were picking shit up right then and there.
Yeah.
You're like, "Hey, I gotta do something. I'm just not gonna be like a deer in the headlights. Just you're gonna do something about it."
From only combing her hair and putting her hair in a ponytail every other weekend, I had to learn how to braid her hair, how to, teach her how to shower properly, make sure
Oh,
she
wow.
was fed for dinner, for breakfast, lunch, picking her up from school.
Yeah.
My whole schedule completely changed because, my husband was working from 5 a.m. to almost 9 at night. If not,
Yeah.
sometimes he wouldn't even come home until the next day.
Yeah.
So I had to take
Whew.
on this whole responsibility, and I was all like, okay, how am I going to do this?
Yeah. That's a big change. That's a big jump, man. It's like going
Yeah.
from the number
Yeah.
1 to the number 50. It's like, holy shit. You know.
Yeah. So okay. So initially that was the process, right? How did it become that you guys got full custody over her legally?
Okay, so as soon as we got her settled, we kept her in the same school. We realized, we have to get her social, we have to get her birth certificate because at that time my husband didn't have anything. So, like, if
Mhm.
he would go on a trip or anything, he would just ask the mother for it, and she'll hand it to him, and of course he had to give it back. So that was our first step. We went to go get her social. We went to go get her birth certificate, from the Social Security, from the what's it called? From the city where she was born,
Okay.
and then
Kind of like the city hall type of
yeah,
thing.
the city hall,
Oh, okay.
and then
Mhm.
from there we hired a lawyer. We have a very good family lawyer that we have.
That's good.
So we went to go speak to him, and he said, okay, you know what? Let's get this done. Let's get started. We
Yeah.
schedule court dates in order to get custody of her. They try to prolong it because they thought she was going to get out right away, her lawyers, but the judge saw, what? This is her record. This is what happened. I'm not going to prolong this just because you think she's going to get out in 2 days. She doesn't look like she's going to get out anytime soon.
Yeah.
So we went to 2 court days, and that was it. All the paperwork changed,
hmm
and she was officially his.
Wow. That's
Oh,
crazy.
wow.
That's quite a process. I want to ask you something.
Mhm.
Do you feel like at any point during that process where it went from how you said, just braiding her hair here and there, like on over the weekends, to full custody, learning the ins and outs, breakfast, lunch, dinner, everything? At some point, did you kind of like either wanted to break down or did you just want to say, fuck it, like, you know what I mean, like,
A lot of the times when she would go to bed, I would cry because I was all like, what am I doing? It was not like, what did I get myself into type of deal. It's
Yeah, yeah,
like, am I doing any of this right? Am I
yes.
doing anything
Mm.
wrong?
Like self doubt, like
Yeah.
self doubt.
But it wasn't
Mhm.
because I felt like I wasn't going to be a good parent to her. It was because from having her on the weekend, don't get me wrong, she is an amazing kid. From the moment I met her till I have her now.
Yes, yes.
But growing up, she went through so much. And I don't mean like so much like she was spoiled or, she just had this bad behavior. No, it was the type of deal that she went through so much abuse.
Yeah.
So much abuse that not even her father knew. Nobody knew what she was going through. And I myself had to watch that, had to listen to her.
Yeah.
So that's why it was so hard.
I'm sorry that.
Yeah.
All right, that breaks my heart. I'm sorry.
No, dude. It's if that doesn't break your heart, then you're not human. Cause that's not only hearing it, but just imagining the things that she must have told you. And when she was telling you these things, was it kind of like all in one bunch, kind of like she just released everything, or was it slowly, little by little, stories here and there that she was telling you?
It would be little by little
Okay.
because unfortunately, when she was small, she used to hit me a lot.
Okay.
But hit me
Mhm.
because she wasn't understanding what was going on. She wasn't understanding the discipline. She wasn't understanding
Mhm.
why I was getting after her at that time. She would kick
Yeah.
me, she would slap me, scratch me, and I would have to show her, like, you know what, this isn't okay. Like, you're not supposed to hit the adults. And at that point, I was just fresh being married, fresh to becoming a mom, and I wasn't ready to spank her. I wasn't ready to, tell her, you know what, this is why I'm spanking you. This is why, I'm putting my hands on you. And it just felt so wrong. I did do the timeout. I did talk to her. There was points I had to call my husband, and he had to leave work because he had to settle her down.
Yeah.
But it wasn't because she enjoyed doing that stuff. It's because that's what she was taught.
Yeah, she was so used to.
Yeah.
And this kind of goes back to how you said too, you were used to a certain routine with her, and now you had to like expand that routine even more.
Yes.
So I imagine on her end as well too. She was used to be, acting a certain way, and now that she's with you, she's, for the lack of a better word, being treated right or being taught right, and now she's kind of like, oh, like this is not normal for me. Like this is, if you want me to respond like this, I'm responding this other way, and you had to reteach her all that stuff.
Yeah, and it was hard. And it was hard at first because, like I said, my husband was always working, and I felt bad that he had to leave work because I wasn't able to handle how she was behaving.
Yeah.
But it came to a point where, she opened up and said, you know what, my grandma told me I had to misbehave with you, so you won't want me anymore and send me back home.
Oh. So that's like some sabotage thing.
Yeah.
Oh my. Yep. That there it is. There it is.
Shit. Okay.
Damn. I was gonna ask you as well. Is you know how you were saying that your husband was working a lot at the time. Obviously that's not to be cliche, but mostly every guy out there works a lot. Their job usually requires them to work a lot. So I hearing that is kind of normal to me at the same time, because my brother, he works a lot. He's gonna have another kid right now, and he's never truly there. He's always just there like for 2 days out of like sometimes 2 weeks. So I you know what I mean, like hearing that from you, I understand that. So same thing that I kind of asked his wife is I kind of want to ask you is, did at some point did you kind of felt like, even though he came home, did you kind of felt lonely during the process of like raising the kid, or did you kind of feel like it's just extra work?
To be honest, I really didn't feel lonely due to the fact that I had my in-laws that were helping me a lot.
Oh, okay.
So they didn't leave me alone in that process. To the point when he would come home, he would apologize a lot to me. And he would say he's sorry that he can't be there. He's sorry that I have to go through this,
Yeah.
He was more scared to the fact that he thought it was going to run me off.
Oh, okay. Yeah. And to be fair, some other women that are not that strong, or the ones that are, the ones that are not about that life, I guess you could say, would have run away.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
I've told him before, if I was anybody else, I would have walked out of your life by now. I would have said, you know what, this isn't for me. This I don't have any kids of my own. I go, I have no clue what I'm doing. I don't know what I'm doing with you. I would have walked.
Yeah.
But the way I tell him, my love for him was a lot stronger. My love for her, it was a lot stronger. So, what is my life changing a little bit? It isn't the wrong. It's actually good, because I feel like I can do good for him because I love them.
Yeah, that makes perfect sense. That makes perfect sense. Pete, I wanna bounce what she said to you, which is, what would you do if your baby mama's grandparents were trying to sabotage your relationship with your kids?
Shit.
It's a little different.
I would have some choice words for them.
Pardon your French.
I wouldn't even hesitate to go up to them and tell them off. I try to be as respectful as I can, but given that situation, because it's the reverse for me. They've always been there for my kids, and they've always been good to them, and they've always, in a lot of ways, they've helped me a lot, and I appreciate what they've done for me and my kids, and they'll always have my respect for that.
Yeah.
Had they done the opposite, then it wouldn't be as pretty.
It would have been a different
honestly.
story.
Yeah, very much so. Yeah.
And
I'm not one to hold my words back, unfortunately. So yeah.
I want to our guest here. I want to ask you a question, which someone put in the comments was, how would you react if you got into an argument with your kid, and they hit you with the "You're not my mom"?
I've had that in my mind for a very long time. You know,
Oh,
since
okay.
the
So
first
you've been like,
day,
alright.
since the first day me and my husband got married.
Uh-huh.
You know, I've always told her when she's in trouble, or you know, when I'm having a talk with her. She's about to be 13.
Uh-huh.
You know, I always told her I will be
Wow.
very honest with you. I
Yeah.
will be very blunt. I will never lie to you when it comes to something important.
Yeah.
I go, one day you're going to hate me. You're going to hate the fact that I'm telling you what to do because you're going to want to do whatever you want.
Yep.
And then one day you're going to tell me you're not my mom. And my response is going to be, if I'm not your mom, why did I take care of you? Why did I feed you?
Yeah.
Why did I go rescue you when you needed me to rescue you?
Yeah.
Everything you have in your room is because me and your dad worked very hard for.
Uh-huh.
And even then, I would work extra hours just to get you the style of clothes you want now, all the toys you want. I go, because in her head, daddy pays the bills, mom buys the fun stuff.
Yeah.
So I go, so tell me then that I am not your mom. And she goes, I know and I understand. I go, but if that day ever comes, just know that I am going to be honest with you. And
Yeah.
if you tell me I'm not your mom, then let me give you a week without me being your mom.
Yeah.
See if you're going to notice the difference. See
Yeah.
if you're going to miss what I do for you.
I bet.
And I tell her, I go, when you're sick, I'm the one taking care of you. I'm leaving work. I'm checking up on you at night. I go, and not to put her biological mother down. I go, but having to say this now, she doesn't check up on her. She doesn't call her. She doesn't look for her. She doesn't even bother to check if she's okay, if her day's gone well, nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Only when she goes
Okay.
over there, she hangs out with her and brings her back. If she remembers to pick her up.
Okay, so quick question.
Yes.
What's the situation now with the mother? Is she out of prison? Does she have any rights?
She is out of prison already. She got out
Okay.
3 years after she went in because
Okay.
her at that time boyfriend took all the blame to make sure she got out. We in the state of Texas, the mother has every right to the child. She can't lose her rights unless she does like something really, really, really ugly to the kid. So she has, I guess they're sharing custody. He has the main custody, and it's a joint custody.
Mm-hmm.
So she goes now. She goes every other weekend to go visit her. But my kid is at the point where I only want to go when I want to go, not when I have to go.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
So she tells her, you know what, this is happening this weekend. Is it okay if I don't go with you? Or this is happening next weekend. I really don't want to go over there. I want to be over here. And, you know, her mom is like, yeah, sure, stay. It's fine. And after that, she won't hear from her unless my daughter texts her.
So from what I'm getting, the vibe is like it's kind of like one-sided most of the time. Your daughter has to like initiate the conversation with her for her to be like, oh yes, I forgot that you were alive. Yes, hey.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, so quick question:
Uh-huh.
Is she on child support?
Yes, she is.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so it's the reverse.
All right,
Okay.
we're speaking to a unicorn here, Pete. Let's ask the question.
Yeah.
Oh shit.
Yeah, for a long time, my husband had a lot of back pay. So
Uh-huh.
he was still paying her. And then once his was done, then that's when the child support started coming in on her side.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Okay. That actually makes a lot of sense.
There's hope, Pete. There's hope.
I mean, not unless she starts drug trafficking.
Oh, no, if it helps you any, she went back to jail for a few months.
Oh, Well,
for the same thing. But then she's a very lucky woman. I don't know how she did it.
She got some connects, I'll tell you that.
She got out on probation. She should have gotten
Oh,
at least
wow.
5 to 7 years in jail.
wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
that's-
I'm glad. I'm glad she
Uh-huh.
got out because I feel like no matter what, my daughter should still be able to have a relationship with her mom.
Yep.
I don't want to look at her and see her hurt and aching because, you know, her mom's in jail or because, you know, her mom isn't paying attention to her. I always remind her, "Hey, did you
Yeah.
text her? Have you talked to her? Are you okay?"
Mhm.
And she's all like, "No, if she doesn't text me, I don't want to talk to her."
Mm.
So, a question from one of our viewers: how much does she pay?
For child support.
To be honest with you, there isn't a average answer. She pays what she can. Sometimes we'll get $10. Sometimes we'll get 300. Sometimes we'll get 50, or sometimes we'll get 5. It depends on if she's working or if she puts money in. To be honest with you, I don't even think she's working right now.
Uh-huh.
Mm.
So it's like it's not very consistent. It's more like whatever it is we get is whatever you get.
Yeah,
It's like it's like just check. All right, I got this. All right.
yeah,
Yeah, you're not even banking on it. You're just like, yeah, we're just gonna take care of our stuff and not even
yeah. It's not
worry about what's coming in from that.
like I've told my husband. We don't need it.
Mhm.
It's only there because, you know, the law said it had to be there.
Yeah.
If
Mhm.
we had a choice, we wouldn't be taking it. Only to the fact because it twists our arm and it forces us to make our child go over there even if she doesn't want to.
Mm.
Mm.
Yeah, I get what you mean by that statement, but I guess I'm a little, I guess I'm a little bit more petty. I would be like, nah, I'm fucking taking this money, not because of the whole I want to keep it, but because of what you said earlier, which is that the child endured abuse. It doesn't matter what type of abuse, whether it was psychological or physical. That's something pretty fucked up, and I feel like if that's the only way to pay back, I guess that's the only way. Because obviously, murder is not a thing that you can actually do. Because then
Yeah.
you go to jail. Then that defeats the purpose of having the child.
Yes,
But
of course.
I would think of it like that. I'd be petty as fuck. I'd be like, bring it in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude, it's rare to hear about a mother paying child support. It's very rare. That's why Jaime was saying this is a unicorn.
Yeah.
Yeah, dude.
I-
This oh man.
I think you're probably gonna be the guest for a very long time until we finally find someone that says, "Oh yeah, the mom pays child support." Because we've had quite a few people here, and none of them said that. So it's gonna
Yeah,
be-
it's a
Uh,
difficult thing. Like I said, in the state of Texas, the mother, they usually bend over backwards for the mother than what they do for the father. Unfortunately.
Mhm.
Dude, I hope we get a
Yeah.
guest that eventually comes on and is like, "Oh, guys, I'm finally off of child support.
Right.
18 years." You know,
Oh, dude.
God.
For you had mentioned a little bit about how your husband had to do back pay. For how many years did you have to do back pay?
We just stopped last year.
No, but like, how many years did they say? Oh, this is how many years you haven't paid, so now you're gonna have to pay, or like months or whatever
back
it was.
pay that when I started dating him in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Damn.
So I think he was still paying child support, but then he had gotten laid off for a while.
Yeah,
So
yeah, yeah.
that's when everything started adding up,
Yeah.
and then he got a job. He
Mhm.
was able to get a job towards the end of 2014, if I think I remember right. So whatever he didn't do before until we
Yeah.
got together, everything just started adding up.
Yeah.
Then he started working 2015 and on, and it was just to pay the back pay, catch
Yep.
up, just to keep going.
Yeah.
Did the thought ever run through your head or through you and your husband's head that his child support was paying for those drugs?
To be honest, we assumed she was drug dealing due to the fact of everything she was doing. She was going to Vegas. Well, my daughter would say, "Oh yeah, she's at Vegas this weekend, or she just went last weekend, or she's going again this day." You know, she was never home. And
She was living it
my
up.
daughter, she has 3 kids. So my daughter, her sister, and her brother would always stay with the nanny. or the grandmother if the grandmother wanted to be there, but it was mainly with the nanny that they had there. And you know, she, don't get me wrong, she had clothes, everything was always nice, but um the money, if I would say it was going to her, I we never guessed. We just assumed that
Yeah.
they were doing good with it. But other than that, you know, there'd be days where, you know, she had lice in her head for like years. I mean, years, like a whole nest that when she would come over, they would clean her out and go back, and it's like a whole new nest came back. Her and her sister were never really bathed right. You know, when she had to come to us, of course, you know, she was taken care of to make sure we didn't notice anything. But going back home, you know, she was a 5-year-old, 4-year-old, 6-year-old, also going to school and staying up till 3 in the morning because she felt like it. You know,
Damn. So it was like
And
a
if-
house with no
Okay.
rules.
yeah. So if she wanted to go to school,
Yeah.
she didn't have to, or she was too tired. She didn't really have to do much about it. And you know, my husband wasn't on the registry there at the school, so they only had him as the father because it was on the birth certificate. But any calling or any information that we knew about, it wouldn't be anything. To be honest, he was like in a dark room by himself, not knowing what was going on over there, unless she would say something when she would come over.
Damn. So
Well, shit.
she has one brother, one sister. You said, right?
Yes.
And they don't really talk to her now that she's like with you guys most of the time, or does she actually just talk to them?
When her sister had a phone before her mom broke hers and took it away,
Uh-huh.
they would text each other.
Oh, okay.
You know, they stayed in contact. The sad thing about it is that my daughter's mom was supposed to pick her up one weekend, and her sister was telling her, "Hey, mom, you know, it's so and so's weekend. You got to go pick her up." And the mom was like, "No, it's not. Yes, it is. It's her weekend. You got to go get her." "No, it's not. Quit telling me that, because it's not."
Uh-huh.
Well, after an hour waiting, she calls her mom and says, "What's going on? Why haven't you picked me up?" "Oh, I forgot. I forgot it was Friday. I forgot I had to pick you up. You know, your sister was telling me, but I didn't believe her."
Wow.
And then her excuse
Okay.
was, "I thought it was last weekend." And in my head, it's all like, you didn't even call her last weekend to pick her up either.
Damn. Not a very good liar.
No.
Ah, man.
Yeah, for a long time, I took care of both my daughter and her sister while her mom was
Oh.
in jail.
Okay.
Oh, so you took care of both of them.
Yes, and that's because my husband only has one daughter. The other one was just from somebody else, and I just didn't feel like I could break them apart.
Oh, okay. Oh,
Oh,
so are all the three kids half with each other, or she's the only one that's half? Like
No, all three of them.
all three of them different dads.
All three of them different dads.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay. And the brother was the youngest, or is he?
Yes, he's the youngest. Him,
Okay.
I couldn't take care of him because he was still really little.
Oh.
So,
Okay.
and for the grandmother, it was just easier to send both of them to me, so I can deal with their tantrums and their misbehavior and everything. She couldn't handle them at all.
Hmm. How long was her stepsister with you guys?
For 3 years.
3 years.
Oh wow.
You guys must have bonded then for 3 years.
Yes, but the apple does not fall far from the tree. She is a
Oh.
little mini me, just like her mother.
Really?
So even though I did so much for her, she turned around and lied through her teeth and said so many things about me to her mom. I made it seem like I didn't do anything for her.
Wow.
Yeah, kids are hard. Kids are
Kids are a-holes when they
It-
want to.
Yeah.
yeah. It's they're very good at manipulating situations, or just not saying something, or saying something that's not true,
Yeah.
and then everything gets turned around. Um, damn. Okay. So you basically had two kids for 4 years.
Yeah, pretty much.
Wow. Okay. That.
That's a remarkable journey in my opinion, because like how she said, she didn't really, whether doesn't matter who she was dating before, it's she wasn't used to that life of like taking care of a kid all the time. Going from that to then having another one that's not, the only reason that she's related is because of the blood of the mother of the daughter that that you're taking care of now.
Yeah.
Like that's like me and Pete never been in. Well, I can speak for myself. I've never been in that situation. But Pete, have you had to take care of someone else's child? Yeah. See, Pete's never done that either.
Yeah.
So
No.
yeah, you're
No.
you're going from easy mode to expert mode, because that's a big jump. That's a big jump.
I know. For a long
Yeah.
time, everybody told me I was crazy. I shouldn't have to do it. She
Uh-huh.
isn't my husband's kid. I shouldn't have to deal with this, but it wasn't for me. That's the thing that I try to make clear for everybody. It was for my daughter.
So
It was for my daughter to know that she was able to be with
Mhm.
her sister, that her sister was safe, even though they didn't live together.
Okay, so we got a question from our one of our listeners. Would y'all have done that? And that's a question directed to us,
Yeah.
me and Jaime.
Well,
I'll let you go first, man.
okay, would I have done that? Okay, looking into it. See, that's a hard question for me to say, because I don't want to say no, because the same type of love that I have with my kids is pretty much what I think she's the type of love that she had with still has with her daughter, that made her say, if you mean this much to me and I love you the same way that I know you love me, I want to do something good for you, and I know this is gonna help repair a bond, whether it was there or not. So I feel like I want to say yes, but obviously I haven't been in that situation. But I think it's more of a yes than a no
Hmm.
on my end.
Yeah, it's an easy yes for me. I'm not one to deny child love.
Mm-hmm.
Whether it's my kid or not, I don't care. I would love them just the same.
Mhm.
I I mean it sucks that she basically turned out to be like her mother, or like a mini version of her.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I would just done the same thing. Honestly, I would have taken not only taken my kid, but taken her siblings as well and treated them as my own.
Mm-hmm.
Because you a relationship with your siblings is not something that you can easily mend, especially if y'all didn't grow up together. You know,
Yeah.
it's just especially if you grew up in two completely different households and you were raised two completely different ways.
Yeah.
Your daughter is getting a much different experience than her sister or her brother.
Mm-hmm.
It's damn.
Yeah.
That's
And-
a very
And
yeah.
as you were speaking and I was hearing you, Pete, the more I was analyzing the question that they asked us, and I feel like it makes sense what you're saying, because if sometimes siblings that have different dads or different moms, if they get treated well with the other family, the other kids might be like, oh, you know what, f that person, f my sister or f my brother, because look at that, she has everything, she has a phone, she has everything, they feed her, I'm over here, and she turns that jealousy into anger,
Yeah.
and she will release it onto her sister. So I understand
Mhm.
even more now why you were there, and why everybody thought that you were crazy, but you're like, no, you're not seeing the bigger picture. I
Yeah.
think that's pretty much what you were saying in your head.
Yes.
So that makes
So,
sense.
I just wanted to do everything I could in order to keep my daughter happy.
Yeah.
The reason why I felt like I needed to protect them was because, the nanny that was taking care of them at that time, if they misbehaved, they'd get locked up in a garage in the dark in the heat, or they'd have to sit on a table and watch everybody else eat, and they couldn't eat because they were being bad.
Shit. That's pretty fucked up.
That
I was going to direct the question to you, but I don't want you to get mad, Pete,
Um,
because I already see it in your face. What if that was your kids, Pete?
Yeah, I'd be going to jail real quick.
Oh man.
Yeah,
And
I wouldn't.
in that story that you're telling us now, did she's the one that told you eventually?
Yes,
Or
eventually she, because I noticed when I would feed her, she'd eat like a little bird. You know, she was at that time she had just turned 8, if I'm correct. Yes, she had just turned 8, and she was wearing a size a 6-year-old should wear. And I was like, "You're so skinny, like you're so petite
yeah,
and tiny, like
yeah,
what's going on?" So I would try to feed her. She'd be like, "No, I don't want to eat, or I'm full." Or,
yeah,
little by little, I started showing her, you need your breakfast, you need your lunch, you need your dinner,
yeah,
so you could grow big and strong. And,
yeah,
you know, there'll be times where she'll go and visit her grandma during the weekend because they wanted to see her. And she'd come back and she'd be starving because her grandma was either too tired to feed them, or,
yeah.
the nanny didn't feed them at that time.
Yeah, I was gonna say, just for a little, I guess, a little context or a little background for everybody listening. Obviously, our guest wants to remain anonymous, but I spoke to her and she showed me pictures of what she's saying now, and prior to this, obviously. And trust me, Pete, when I tell you that child was skinny, dude. That child was skinny.
She
Like,
looked like she had a bobblehead.
yeah, like just super skinny, dude. Like anorexia skinny. Like it was bad. So her telling me that story on top of me seeing the photos of how she
Yeah.
was, it's pretty crazy. And
Um,
what, Pete?
sorry, I would. Yeah, they would have not made it to the next day. I'm sorry. I, dude. I'm sorry. Grandma's getting the heat. Nanny's getting the heat. Everybody's getting the heat. I'm sorry. I don't give a fuck.
Fuck
Oh,
you,
this
grandma.
is gonna make you a little more mad. The birth mother knew about it.
And she didn't.
Of course.
She didn't believe them.
Why
She
believe
thought
a
that-
child that you can probably snap in half
Yeah,
that they're not getting fed?
she just believed that the kids were being dramatic about it and just
Yeah.
misbehaving. And
Look at that. I don't know, it's either the lighting or the story, but I'm getting teary eyed here. That's crazy.
Yeah, no.
Now I want to touch a little bit of. I know it seems like we're jumping all over the place, but I want to touch about you being just in general being a stepwife. I know it sounds similar to just being like a stepmom,
yeah,
but being a stepwife, did you ever, prior to you guys getting married, did you ever get like get told off by either the husband side of the family or your side of the family of being a stepmom before you even get married, and did it change after you guys got married, like their point of view of you being there?
no, not really. Like they would joke around and say, this is your chance to walk away. You don't have to be here. We'll still love you if you decide not to marry him.
Yeah,
But other than that, they really didn't say much about it. They really wouldn't put their 2 cents in it. If it ever did happen, it was just over something stupid. People saying things they weren't supposed to say because they were just angry at the time.
Mhm.
But other than that,
Mhm.
they've always told me that they appreciate me for sticking around because, like I said, nobody knew what was going on when it came to my stepdaughter. Like, nobody knew what she was going through, to the point where, at first I thought they probably thought I was being crazy when I would tell them, she behaved like this, she was treating me like this, and they probably just thought, in my head, I think they thought, she's just being dramatic, she doesn't want to take care of her, she's not used to it, until my mother-in-law, my father-in-law saw it firsthand that, my stepdaughter didn't want to stay with my in-laws, and I had to go to work, and she ran the whole yard in the front. Everybody was chasing her, trying to catch her. She almost
Yeah.
ran to the street, and I finally caught her. And my mother-in-law said, "You better start putting your foot down, and you need to spank her."
Yeah.
So, I see that they all realized what was going on, and I don't feel like the people think I'm making up excuses because everybody was able to witness it firsthand.
Yeah.
So I don't feel like they
Mhm.
ever like pushed me away in any way or anything. They said a lot of things jokingly, and I think we're in a pretty good relationship when it comes to my in-laws and everything.
Did you feel like the vibe changed after you guys got married? It was basically the same thing.
Maybe just a little bit, but more of I appreciate you more side.
Oh, okay.
Because now I was taking care of my mother-in-law's only boy, my husband,
Yeah.
and her only granddaughter, because
Yeah.
she has two grandsons, but this was
And-
like way before they were born.
Yeah.
They're just barely turning two themselves. So
Mhm.
so I know my mother-in-law cried a lot because of everything she was listening to and witnessing herself. And
Mhm.
she would thank me and tell me, I'm sorry you have to go through this. I'm sorry that this is happening. And and all I can do is encourage her and let her know, what, I'm not going anywhere.
Mhm.
I'm here for the long run.
Yeah.
So
Did you ever get like kind of like in a dark place throughout the whole time?
I did. I got really, really depressed. It was really hard, but I did very well to hide it. I would speak to my husband and tell him, this is hard, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't really tell him like I would bring myself down to the point like, what am I doing?
Yeah.
Why am I doing this? Like, am I doing anything right? Am I doing everything wrong? Like, who am I to, like, why did God put me in this position? Why did he feel that I was strong enough to take on this challenge? And because it was hard, like I said, my daughter would get upset. She'd throw toys at me. She'd hit me. She'd scream. She'd jump all over the place. At times I'd be like, oh my God, the neighbors are going to call the cops because they think I'm murdering this little girl.
Yeah.
And, when she was little, she would say, I hate you, because, she was taught, you got to hate your stepmom. She ain't your mom. That isn't your real dad because you didn't get out of his belly.
Yeah.
Like, they would say stupid things, and it's like, how can you tell a little kid this?
Yeah.
You can't. Don't be whispering in the child's ear and telling them you gotta hate this person because they're not your real parent, or because you didn't come out of their belly, or you have this blood running in you. No, it doesn't work that way. You let the child choose who they want to love and how they want to love. Don't teach the child to hate.
Yeah.
So, okay, I got a couple quick questions. How is your relationship with your daughter now? Like, having gone through all that, and now that she's 13.
She is attached to my hip. Even now, I cannot go to the restroom without her knocking and saying, Mom, what are you doing? Are you almost out? What are you doing, Mom? I want to hang out and be with you. And I will leave, and it got to a point that I would leave and she will cry and cry and cry because she thought I was never coming back.
Oh, wow.
Wow. Well, let's hope you don't. Let's hope you don't go on a vacation.
I know, right? She gets mad. She gets mad if I go hang out like with my friends. She'll be like, "Why can't I come along? Why can't I be with you? Are you gonna go have fun without me?"
Oh, wow. Another quick question. With all the things that happened to her, do you see her appreciating all the things that she has now with you guys?
Yes, she
Like-
does.
Okay.
The reason why I think so is because she would come up to me and be like, "Thank you for doing this," or "Thank you for getting me clothes," or "Thank you for buying me this," or she'd automatically just come up to me and hug me and hold me and tell me, "I love you. Thank you for being my mom." Like, she'll do it on her own. Nobody has to tell her like, "Oh, remember to thank your mom," or "Remember to do this," or "Remember to do that." She'll automatically come up on her own and just be like, "I love you and thank you for everything."
Yeah.
That's
That one,
it hits right in the heart.
yeah, that one. Yeah, that one hit really hard.
Well,
Yeah, dude. I've found that kids who went through and went through things early on, or who didn't have things early on, they tend to appreciate things more. Especially coming from someone that they look up to. Um, I know I had a similar experience. Like, I appreciated all the things that were given to me as a kid. For one, I didn't have much, you know. Um, but every little thing that I had, I appreciated. Like even if it was a toy or my Game Boy or something like that, you know, I appreciate it because it came from my uncle or it came from my grandfather, and it sounds so monotonous, but like it just I don't know, it just meant a lot. It meant a lot when it was coming from people that I loved, you know. Um,
Yeah.
I don't know. It's only something that you can experience and share with other people who've been through that or who other people who've seen that.
Mm-hmm.
They don't really understand it when you try to explain it to them. And I think because you understand, right,
Yes.
from our listener, yes, it's it's only when you see it firsthand or you experience firsthand that you really understand it. Um,
Yeah.
I try to explain it to my own kids, like, hey, you need to appreciate the things that you got, you know, because this is what I went through, and I would have killed to have anything close to what you had, you know. And they're of course they're like, whatever, you know, go out and play or whatever. And it's like, no, you got to appreciate your mother. You got to appreciate, you got to appreciate the things that we do for you, but especially your mother, because
Mhm.
like, I didn't have that relationship with my mom, and my mom never did any of that shit for me. Nothing. Like she never even cooked a meal for me. Well, she can't cook, so it was always my grandfather cooking for me, my grandmother cooking for me, my uncle teaching me how to cook, and those things you really instill into yourself,
Mm-hmm.
especially in developmental age, and then growing up and becoming a teenager and becoming an adult, and then you have your own kids, and you start to realize, all those things that you want them to appreciate as well.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I went on a little rant there, but
No,
it's
no, it makes sense, and it fits to I think it fits to what we're talking about because it the way obviously both of you guys n- know something that I don't know, but the way I'm looking at it is the actions that you do are louder than what some people would say bound by blood. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
you're not bound by blood with her, but your actions did all the talking for you. You know what I mean? You were there for the good times, the bad times. Those are all actions. That's all you put in the work.
Yes.
And same thing with Pete. You know what I mean? Like, sure, he had his mom with him, but she was going through her own struggles, and his grandpa and uncle had to step in, and those were all actions. You know, so I see it as that. I see as that they did something that rise to the cause, and people see that it hits you differently.
yeah, kids really experience that, and kids really do pick up on that, especially once they get older and they start realizing like, hey, my mom did this for me and my dad did this for me. Especially once they start getting old enough to connect the dots and put the pieces together. Um,
Mm-hmm.
that's when they really start to realize like, hey, my parents did all this shit for me. Um, yeah, it's yeah. I found that most people, normal people, people who haven't gone through most things,
Mm-hmm.
they don't experience that until they're out on their own. They'll go out, they'll get their own place, and then they don't know how to wash their clothes, or they don't know how to cook, or they don't know how to certain things like that. It doesn't come into adulthood
Yeah.
versus somebody who's experienced early on. They appreciate everything.
Yeah.
They appreciate all the little things.
Or just paying any bill in general. There's people who, when they finally get out of the house of their parents, and then they have like their first bill, they're like, "Oh shit, this is how much it costs!" Like,
Yeah.
the fuck? Like, they
Or they
weren't.
start seeing how much taxes come out of your freaking check.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
God,
yeah.
that was the worst.
I remember the first time I was talking to a friend. He had barely like gotten out of high school, and then he's all like, "Oh, dude, I got a job lined up." I'm like, "Badass, dude. What is it?" And then he would tell me what it was. And he's like, "Oh, I'm getting paid this much." And he's all like, "Look, this is how much I'm gonna be making." I'm like,
Mhm.
"Oh," I was like, "Oh, it's badass. Is that after taxes?" He's all like, "What do you mean?" And I'm like, "Taxes, bro. What the fuck do you talk about?" He's all like, "No, what's that?" And I'm like, "Oh, this guy." So I had to explain it to him, like, bro, there's fucking taxes. You just don't get all the money. I was like, where do you think Social Security comes from? He's like, oh, I thought they just gave
Yeah.
it to me. He's like, no, that's not. All right, whatever. So
God
I
damn
would
it.
tell him that. I was like, no, dude, I'm not gonna explain the whole fucking thing to you. Yeah, but
Oh my
going
God.
real quick, going back to the when she was kind of like your daughter rebelling on you,
Yeah.
was that hate or anger more mainly tailored to you, or was that to your husband as well too? Was she like going off on him?
Um, it was mainly towards me. He would get some of it when she was already like really tired or fed up, but like I said, my husband worked a lot.
Yeah.
So he would see her misbehave when I had to call him and he had to leave work
Mm-hmm.
in order to settle her down.
Mm-hmm.
But I mainly took all the blows. So
Yeah.
it
Wow.
was hard,
Yeah.
but like I said, it was just somebody whispering in her ear, telling her that this is how she had to be
Yep.
because I wasn't anybody to her.
Yeah. The whole thing going back to where blood, blood,
Yeah.
yeah. She's not a part of you or whatever.
And she would tell me later, like, I'm sorry I behaved like this. It's just last weekend when I went to go visit grandma and my grandma told me that I'm supposed to misbehave like this with you, so you cannot want me anymore. And it's like I'm not gonna stop wanting you just because you misbehave.
Yeah. Another
Hmm.
another question that I wanted to ask you was, did obviously you had mentioned that when your husband would finally come home because working long hours, he would be like, I'm sorry, I have to go through this and whatnot, and obviously you knew where he was coming from because obviously he loves you, so he's telling you all this stuff.
Yes.
But did you at some point tell him without him coming to you first, like, hey, I know you apologized to me a lot, but it's okay. Like, I knew what I signed up for because you knew very well you could have left at a certain point, but you're there now. Like, did you kind of like pretty much reassure him, like, hey, I'm with you, I'm with you? Like, did you ever have to do that a lot, or?
Not a lot, but I would, because I would see him at times when he would get down, and he's not a person to open up much.
Okay.
So he really wouldn't express what he was down about or why he was feeling the way he is. But I would remind him, like, I love you. I love our baby girl. I'm here. I'm not going anywhere. I'm here for the long run. You can't get rid of me. Even if you try getting rid of me, I'm staying.
Yeah.
And he would like laugh, and I would say, you're gonna be here with me, and she's gonna be here with me until
Mm-hmm.
you say, you know what, I'm done. You're never gonna hear out of my mouth that I'm done because I have all the willpower to go,
Yeah.
and I'm not going anywhere. And
So, a question from our listener, well, one of our listeners. How did your family react when you told them that your spouse had a child?
at first they would be like, "Are you sure you're ready for this?" Because when we first started dating, I'm very secretive. I don't tell my family who I'm dating, what their background is, or anything because I didn't want to bring somebody around and then I end up not being with them.
Oh, you kind of want to have get him a feel, know him a little bit more before you bring him in.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
But it was different with my husband because I was only dating him for like, I'd say maybe a year,
Uh huh.
and that's when I introduced him to my parents.
Oh.
I usually wait like a good 3-4 years.
Uh huh.
So this is our story. We dated for a year.
Uh huh.
We got engaged and married by the third year.
For the third year.
Yeah, so we got together 2014. We got married in 2016, and in 2016 we got custody of my child. That's how our relationship went.
Wow.
So everything just went fast. Just like it started off quick,
Yeah.
everything just came quick.
Yeah.
So he didn't want to get married at first. By the time my birthday came around, he said, "You know what? I don't know what the heck you did to me, but I want to marry you."
Uh huh.
And
So you, real quick to cut you off, you had proposed to him first, as in like you had told him like, "Hey, I think I want to get married with you," or he was just like, because of what you
No,
said, where
it
he was all
just-
like, "I don't want to marry yet."
it's just a conversation that
Oh, okay.
pop up like when you're getting to know someone. Like,
Yeah,
do you
yeah.
ever plan to get married? Do you plan to have more kids? That type of deal.
Yeah.
So when I finally showed my parents, this is my boyfriend,
Mm-hmm.
they were like, "Oh, okay." And then I waited like a month, and I told them, and he has a daughter, and they're like, "Okay, I'm the baby of the family."
Okay.
So right away, everybody wants to shelter me.
Mm-hmm.
So they're like, "Are you sure you're ready for this?" I go, "Come on, guys. I love kids." I go, "I have my sister's godchildren with me all the time.
Yeah.
You know, they're like my babies, and if I wasn't ready for this, I wouldn't be doing what I'm doing now."
Yeah.
So at first they were all iffy about it, but then once they got to know him, once they got to know her, it was all downhill from there.
Yeah. Well, I bet that you can't question you now because you like I said, you've put in work more than what a typical blood parent, I guess you could say, would go through. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? You've gone through some stuff that many people would either run away or just break down, whether they were their kids biologically or not.
Yeah, it was
So.
it was difficult. Till this day, it's still a little difficult. Not because of her behavior. It's just the fact that when she does finally go over there, you know, there's still no rules. There's still no
The worry's still
discipline.
there.
Yeah, you know, we don't know if she's still selling drugs or who she's bringing home, and especially with COVID now, she's not very responsible.
Mm-hmm.
So, my daughter has asthma, and if she
Oh, that's
gets
a big
it at any
worry.
moment, it's like, she's
Mm.
screwed.
Yeah.
And that scares the crap out of me every day. I'm just checking up on her. How you doing? I love you. I miss you. Everything her mom should be doing while she's away.
Yeah.
And and she notices the difference, and she sees it. She like says, "Thank you for checking up on me," or "I miss you." She gets home right away, and she walks past my husband and comes straight to me, and
Yeah.
he goes, "Who am I? Nobody now? I am your dad. Hello."
Yeah.
I'm going, Daddy.
Yeah. That's how it. Yeah. And unfortunately, it's not that he didn't want to be there. It's just that he had to work a lot.
Yeah.
I get that. Like I said, it's typical for the guy to work a lot. So I understand why she probably bonded more with you. You were
Yeah.
there more.
But now that he's at a new job, he gets weekends off. When we have her, we do a lot of stuff with her. We keep her entertained, arts and
Yeah.
crafts. She likes to draw just like my husband, and
Yeah.
she expresses herself with her drawings. And
Mm-hmm.
when she ever has a question or she ever has any problems, she goes straight to me and she just tells me, "Can we talk?"
Yeah.
And we'll just go to her room and sit down, and we'll just have conversations, questions, anything she has.
Well, whatever it is she's going through.
Yeah.
Oh. Pete.
So, yeah, go ahead.
Oh no, I was gonna say if you want to ask a question, so perfect, go for it.
Yeah, I have a
Yeah.
quick question. Have you guys thought about having more kids or?
Yes, but through everything we're going through, I kind of want to take things a little slow. I know it's been a long time, but things are starting to feel maybe a little normal now. Because like I
Mhm.
said, when we took custody of her, she was turning 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. 4 years have passed now. Things are kind of settling down because it took a very long time, like a very long time for all this behavior, to her mom getting out of jail and readjusting everything, and coming home and her misbehaving again because over there she had freedom and having to teach her again. It really took a toll on me. So we're at a standstill point right now that if it happens, it happens. But if it doesn't, we're okay also.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
But
Yeah.
she wants me to have like 50 kids. She already told me.
50. All right, that's doable.
Well, I mean, might as well get started. One down, 49 to go.
Yeah, I bet your husband's like, all right, I guess I gotta do this. It's not like I'm gonna enjoy it or anything.
Sounds
Okay.
about right.
Another thing that I wanted to ask you is with the kids thing. How Pete had mentioned that if you guys wanted to have kids, but I wanted to touch more on the. Do you think it would have been much different, or do you think that would have broken you if you would have had a child with him, and then like months later the whole thing with the mom happened, and then now you have to have two kids? One you got to teach from basically the ground up, and the other one is barely coming to this world. It's hard. It's like
Yeah, to be honest with you, I probably would have lost my shit because of my hormones would have been going everywhere
Yeah, I bet.
after having a
Mm.
kid. And then, you know, imagine having a crying baby and then a crying kid. And it's like, I have to take care of a baby and then I have to go and make sure she's behaving. And at that point, like I said, she was hitting me. So my fear of her hitting the baby. And I think it would have been a lot. I would have
Did that kind of
lost it.
did it kind of cross your mind? Did you kind of think like, oh, good thing I'm not pregnant? Did it ever cross?
Oh, yes.
Oh.
100 times. I would say, like, my husband and I would talk about it and be like, we'd be like, maybe we're ready. And then something would happen. I'd be like, you know what? I don't think it's time.
Yeah.
Like, it's going to be hard, especially at the job he was at before. He really wasn't home. So I would have lost it. I would have lost my shit trying to figure out how to be a new mom to a newborn, to figuring out how to teach a kid that has a mom already, and then she's over here trying to figure out, like, why is this lady disciplining me.
Yeah.
So it would have been a lot. I have no clue how I would have done it then. I think it would have been so much harder.
Speaking of discipline, Pete, how do you think you would have? How do you think you would react to where you have to, like, basically almost all the time reteach your kid to have manners and to behave a certain way whenever they would go with their mom, like, back?
That would really, it's hard because like we really try to emphasize us trying to have communication and trying to understand what's going on with our kids and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, she'll tell me stuff that they're doing and like how my son acts out and different things like that. I don't know, man. I mean, I would try to reteach them everything, but like at some point, like, I would just tell them, like, look, dude, I have to tell you this every single weekend. Like, come on. Like, when's it gonna sink in? Like, how many times do I have to teach you this?
Yeah.
Like, eventually you are gonna have to understand.
Mm-hmm.
This is how you act here, and if you want to act that way over there, then that's you. But while you're here, you're gonna act accordingly. Like, you're gonna do what I say.
Mhm.
So, I mean, there has been some of that here and there. Not gonna lie, my eldest likes to act different, especially when he's here and when he's
Mhm.
at his mom's house. But it just really just depends, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean,
What about the whole
given the situation,
kicking and screaming and pretty much like hitting and stuff like that?
that would be a little heartbreaking for me, just because, like, if my kids were doing that to me, that would be really hard, especially if they're my kids.
Yeah.
Had it been the situation that she was in, I try to be as patient as I can, just because not knowing what she'd been through,
Mm-hmm.
especially trying to build that bond and everything.
Yeah.
It with my own kids, it's a little bit different, because, like, I would try to teach them right from wrong, and then if I gotta spank them, I gotta spank them.
Mhm.
Like, hey, you can't be doing that. You can't be hitting me. You can't be kicking and screaming the entire time. Like, you're gonna have to learn, like, you can't do that.
Yeah.
And yeah, I mean, that's my viewpoint on it.
You would be laying them hands, Pete.
Not like constantly, maybe like once every now and then.
Oh, okay. Yeah. That's
That one good ass whooping.
all you need, Pete.
That's all you need, man. That's all you need.
Uh,
Sometimes,
man, that's
hey, sometimes a reminder is enough.
So now,
know.
going back to our guest here, now that we pretty much, I guess kind of chronologically known about how kind of started, knowing her at a certain age, getting her at a certain age to full custody, reteaching her, stuff like that. Now, at the spot that you're in, do you feel like you won't be shocked if anything happens, or do you feel like you might get surprised by something in the future, or do you kind of feel like, you know what, I've seen it all, I've seen some shit, so you're kind of like, nah, there's nothing that's gonna surprise me?
No, it'd more be like if something else were to happen, like either with her or excuse me, or with my like future kids. It's like, nope, I've been through it. It can't be any worse than what it was. We've
Mm.
already fixed it. If we have to go through it again with the tantrums and everything, I'm gonna fix it again.
Yeah.
I've been there, done that. Oh well, this is what I chose. This is what I want. I'm not going anywhere.
Mm.
Type of deal. Even if it's with my own future kids, it's like, no, your older sister put me through hell. I know how to deal with you now. So,
Question from someone that asked, and I'm gonna read it the way they worded it. Someone
Okay.
said, when she goes with her monster, I'm assuming that's the biological mother, for the weekend. When she comes back, does she still give you a little sass, like where she's kind of like forgets that she's with you now, that she's not with her mom, where she can do whatever she wants?
okay, in my daughter's term, the tree goblin.
The tree goblin.
That's what she calls her. At the beginning, yes.
Uh-huh.
She would come back and she would say things like one time in front of my husband, she goes, "Why is it more fun over there than it is here with you?" And as soon as she said that, all I hear is my husband getting up from the couch and walking up behind me and telling me to get out of the restroom. And he's over there. I never want to hear you say that again. How can you be that way towards your mom? She's been here, she's taken care of you, and it's only fun over there because she has to make it fun because you're only there for a few days. And she doesn't come over here to check up on you. She doesn't call you. She doesn't do anything. Don't be disrespecting your mom that way. She's been here for more than anything. And at that point she was all like, oh shit, I said the worst thing I can say to her right now.
Yeah.
And when she does come back with attitude, sometimes I go, don't forget where you're at. I go, she looks at me and she gives me that look like, holy crap, I'm home and mom is about to get after me. And when I get after her, it's the end of the world for her. She thinks I hate her. She thinks I don't love her anymore. She thinks I'm gonna leave her. And I go, just because you wanted to act over there the way you did, that doesn't mean you act over here that way. I go, I've taught you better.
Yeah.
So you either fix it now, or guess who's getting grounded? Guess who's getting spanked by their dad or by me? And then she's like, no, please, no, I'm sorry. I won't be that way no more. I go, it isn't that. I understand you forget because over there nobody takes care of you. Nobody's responsible. You do what you want, and I know you do. You can't lie to me. And she goes, how do you know everything? I go, because I'm a mom and I have powers. And she goes, oh, you have magic powers. That isn't fair, Mom. And, she will laugh later and be like, you know what, I'm sorry. I know what I did was wrong.
Off-topic question here. I know that she's already a little bit older, but she's just 12, right? She's gonna be 13 this year. Does she still believe like either the Easter Bunny, Santa Claus, or anything like that? Like any fairy tales?
She, unfortunately, by 5th grade, when she was 11 going to 12, she completely stopped believing in Santa because
Someone told her.
her friends were making fun of her.
Damn it.
And they were telling her that she was dumb for believing in it. And in my head, it's like, just let her have her childhood. Like, just let her believe. And I always tell her, like, till this day, I believe in Santa. I go, I believe that he's there. I believe that he helps. I go, but sometimes parents have to help Santa too. Santa can't do everything.
Does she ever go like, that makes sense?
Yeah, she does. And then sometimes she gives me the look like, okay, Mom, I get it. This year she lost a tooth and she officially doesn't believe in the tooth fairy.
Oh, damn. No one slid in a 5 or a quarter or nothing?
Last year was our last year. So I go, she had lost her tooth and she goes, Mom, I accidentally threw away my tooth. So in my head I was thinking, she wants to put her tooth under the pillow. And before we would tell her, oh, do you want to write a letter to the tooth fairy? I can write an email, I used to tell her. And she'll be like,
she upgraded.
Yeah. And this year she was like, no, it's okay. I don't need anything. And that's where I knew, like, okay, my teenager, you're too cool to believe in the tooth fairy. But she's really good with her brother or with her her little cousin, she'll be like, "You gotta be here because of Santa Claus," and hey, once you lose a tooth, the tooth fairy,
okay.
like she won't burst their bubbles.
Mm.
Yeah, she's not the other
Yeah,
her friend, or she's like, hey, don't believe in that, stupid.
yeah.
Your kids, Pete, do they still believe in Santa Claus, Tooth Fairy, anything like that?
Yeah, they still do. They're still young, you know.
Yeah.
I mean, my oldest is only 11, and yeah, they still believe in
No,
stuff.
No one's convinced
good.
them.
No, it's just it's their mother that wants them to believe.
Oh.
Which is there's nothing wrong with it, you know.
Yeah.
I do honestly see why she says that she wants them to have a childhood and to keep that innocence for as long as they can. But
Yeah.
eventually, my son is gonna find out, and I don't know when it's gonna be, but
Would you?
I feel like it should come from me or from their mom and be like, look, Santa isn't real, Tooth Fairy isn't real, Easter Bunny's not real, but like don't ruin it for your brother and sister. Let them
Yeah.
keep their childhood innocence for a little longer until they become your age, and then we'll tell them as well, So
Yeah.
so, yeah.
Yeah, I feel like I would want my kids to know about like Santa Claus and the Easter Bunny as long as they can, until they can.
Yeah.
I feel like if like their friends would come over and they'll be at the house and I hear them saying, "What do you believe in Santa Claus?" I would like trying to get like a basketball or something, and throw it at him, be like, "You little fucker,
Be quiet.
stop, shut the fuck up."
Dude, I don't know, dude. I would try to like play dumb or something. And be like, "What do you mean Santa's not fucking real?" Being the adult. I'm like,
Who's been taking my money?
God damn it.
Yeah.
Who's been climbing down my chimney and leaving shit? But yeah, I don't buy these kids shit.
Damn.
But yeah, like yeah, I feel like it should come from us, like just telling him like, hey, this is why we did these things, and this is why, but you're coming of age, and it's time we tell you these things before other people do, and so yeah, I feel like it's a good thing to do.
Do you feel like to our guest? Do you feel like if like same situation like me, how I said where you heard her little friend was about to tell her for the first time like Santa Claus isn't real, the Tooth Fairy or whatever, would you be like try to stop it, or would you just be like, I'm gonna let it happen?
If I was there at that moment, because all of this was happening at school.
Okay.
So if I was there at that moment, all her little friends know me at school. When I would pick up the kids, they'd be like, "Hi, Brenda. Hi, this. Hi, that.
Yeah.
Hi, Clarisa's mom or whatever." And I'd be
Yeah.
like, "Hi, who are you guys?"
Yeah.
And then they would, Santa Claus pictures would be up and everything, and I'd be picking up the little kids, and I'd be saying, "Look, that's who comes down your chimney. That's this. That's that." And the little fifth graders would be looking at me all weird and mean mugging me at that time, and I'd be like, I'd look at them and I'd just shake my head and I'd turn the kids around, but I already knew that my stepdaughter would be like listening and paying attention and like trying to turn around and act like she's not listening to me talk to her little cousin about Santa Claus, and
Yeah.
she'd be embarrassed. And from there, I don't know, I think I would have probably looked at them and be like, well, that's your opinion, but I'd feel like I'd be too mean to them, and I have this mean look to me that kids get scared right away, and they're like, oh, we gotta run, here comes the mean mom. But then I'm the cool mom, and then I become the mean mom when I discipline all her friends.
You're just like fluctuating between the cool
Yeah.
mom, good cop, bad cop.
Yeah, you see, I'm the bad one, my husband's the fun one. It's always been that way.
Oh man, that's crazy. What a interesting stories overall. Like, I was not expecting this up to a certain point. Like, I knew that that you were a stepmom, but I didn't know to the full extent of what you've gone through mentally, emotionally, all that stuff. Even physically, waking up at a certain time and
Yeah,
Yeah.
it became difficult from waking up at 9 a.m. because I had to go to work,
Mhm.
to waking up at 5 in the morning because now I had to get a kid ready
Mm-hmm.
for school and
Mm-hmm.
take them to school and make sure I fed them breakfast and everything. It was hard. It was difficult. My whole life changed
Yeah.
at that moment.
Yeah. Like once again, like how you said, your husband was working a lot, so I understand where he was because he was working. So I understand he wasn't there a lot. But at a certain point, or at did you ever think for not even for once, did you ever think like I'm basically doing everything, like what the fuck, like where's this guy, like did you ever kind of like get into that mindset of like
Like sometimes it would cross my mind, but then I'd have to remind myself, like, he's working, he's providing for us.
yeah.
He can't be here.
Yeah.
But like sometimes when I would tell him, look, you need to talk to her or discipline her, like we would argue every once in a while. I know it was hard for him. I know it was hard to discipline his only baby
Yeah.
because, in his heart, he felt like he failed her. He felt like he wasn't there for her to protect her. And
Mhm.
he didn't want to have to discipline her or get after her because he felt bad. And that's where our arguments would be like, you can't feel bad. You can't regret what you weren't there for. You just have to realize, you know what? I wasn't there then. I am here now. This is what's happening now, and I need to be here for what's going on now. Because if you keep reminiscing in the past, you're going to miss what's going on in the future.
Yeah.
So it
Very
was
true.
it was a difficult jumping back and forth with getting after her, with arguing with him sometimes, and then him realizing, you're right. I need to put my foot down on certain things, but when he would step in, it was so relieving because I knew it wasn't just me. It wasn't just her showing that she hated me. It was her rebelling because of everything she went through over there.
Yeah.
Because, like, the little things I've said, it's just like a piece of something so small what she went through. She went through so much you never wish that upon a child.
Yeah. I bet. And I know there's some people listening that probably thinking like, why either she's not telling more stories about the abuse. One, it's already hard in the first place to talk about that. Pete felt it. I felt it too. Like just a little glimpse of what you had said about the whole nanny eating in front of them and watching them eat. Like just that's pretty hard enough. So I understand why you're not saying more stories. And who knows? We might bring you back and at a certain point, and maybe you might feel more comfortable either sharing or maybe kind of like how some people say sugarcoating the story so it won't seem too real or too sad to some. Because I know that it's already hard talking about this.
Yeah, it's difficult because it just reminds me of what we've already been through, what pain she has gone through. Like, it's been so bad to the point where, we have to get her counseling.
Yeah.
Just so she can speak about it, just so she can feel better. It's a lot.
Go ahead, Pete.
Let me just say, like, it takes a very strong woman to go through all that and stick around. Like,
Yep.
a lot of women would not do that, and I just have to commend you on that because
Thank you.
especially given the situation of everything that happened to this little girl, like to see the other end of that, to see that, hey, she didn't deserve this, hey, none of this is her fault, and stick around and do all these things and still, like, to now see the results of it, and you guys have such a close relationship and everything. It takes a very, very strong woman to go from the beginning of that to the middle of that and to the end of that. And it's just, I have the utmost respect for you, honestly.
Thank you so much.
And we're going to close it off with one more question. The question is that people were asking was, did the mother ever try to get in between you guys' relationship? Like how, as how you were saying that you were trying to like teach her the right way and everything. Like, did the mom ever at a certain point, the biological mom ever at some point step in and be like, try to sabotage it again? Like how the grandmother was kind of doing it?
When she would speak to her over there, when she would go visit and the mom was still in jail, the mom would tell her, at the beginning, because she at the beginning she was grateful. She even drew me a picture from jail telling me that she was thankful for me stepping in for her and her sister.
Yeah.
At first I was like, good. We're starting at a good step. Everything's going good. But behind closed doors, she would just
Talk smack.
reminder, I'm getting you back. I'm your mom. So,
Yeah.
and my stepdaughter should be like, but I don't want to go back. How do I tell her I don't want to go back? I want to live with you guys. I don't want to live with them.
Yeah.
So it would just be back and forth with that. She would cry because she wouldn't want to go over there because she was scared that, that her mom wasn't going to let her come back. And we would have to remind her, we have a court order. You have to come back with us.
Yeah.
Like, she can't just keep you.
Mm-hmm.
And, that will always be her mom. And I know her mom probably has told her a bunch of things.
Mm-hmm.
And, in my daughter's heart is that how can she betray her mom by coming to tell us what she does or says?
Yeah.
I know she's still trying to keep that bond there. And I'm happy. I'm happy she's keeping the bond there.
Yeah.
But I always remind her that no matter what anybody tells her, to always remember what we've already gone through. To always remember what I've already done for her.
Mm-hmm.
And to always know that I love her.
Yeah.
And I'm always going to love her no matter what. And I'm always going to be here until she says she does not need me anymore.
So yeah,
That's
strong statement
that's
there.
very deep.
Yep.
Yeah, that is very deep.
Well, Pete, do you
Um,
want to ask another question?
No,
Before-
no.
Well,
Actually, we got to talk.
go
go
go. No, I was gonna say yeah. We want to talk about a little bit about the future of the podcast. We want to do. Let us know in the comments or just here in the chat later on about we want to do a little bit of a kind of like a shorts. Remember how we are talking about, Pete? How
Oh yeah.
yeah, like 15 10-minute bite-sized videos of different topics, just any topic we wanted to do about that. Let us know if you guys would be interested in hearing about that or just listening to, if you guys would listen to that. But that's going to be pre-recorded. That won't be live. That will be just
Yeah.
more like YouTube content in a way.
Yeah,
That's-
it'll still be released on here as well, but it'll be like you said, a 15-minute clip, pre-recorded. So the editing will be done a lot differently. The audio quality should be a lot better as well.
Yes, sound effects in the
but yeah.
background, music, all that
Mhm.
stuff. Yeah, we also got to talk to our artist, the one who did the original Yo Baby Daddy logo, and ask him to do some other stuff because we need some other stuff as well. So
for sure.
we need to do that as well. But
yeah, man.
yeah, that's the episode for today. Next Monday, to be honest, I don't know what exactly
We
we
were-
have lined up.
We were planning something special for episode 10, and
Yeah.
unfortunately, just because of
Fell through.
yeah, it fell through. It's our 10th episode, and we were trying to do something special, but it fell through. We're actually pushing it to episode 20 instead. But we're probably just gonna be me and Jaime. If not, we might have another guest. We'll announce it beforehand, and we'll just let you guys know.
Oh yeah, someone said get drunk and talk. That's what we plan to do on episode 20. For anybody who's interested,
Yeah.
episode 20 is going to be our final episode for the first season. And
Yeah.
with every season, we want to improve even more. We are improving little by little here. We're switching things up, but we want to improve even further from just from where we were.
Yeah.
So
We were planning that for episode 10, but
Yeah.
we could do that over Discord and everything, over the podcast, and just
Yeah.
get drunk and just talk like this. We could do that too.
yeah.
Yeah, so we could do that.
Yeah.
Um,
I want to thank our guests for coming in here and pretty much not only the time that you took, out of your day, and I bet your daughter's like, "Where's my mom?
Yeah.
Damn it.
She's probably freaking out that I never got home.
Dad didn't go with her. What's going on here?" But yeah, thank you for being here, and also the stories. You know, like I said, it's not easy sharing those stories. It's not easy sharing some people vulnerability. Just whether you're showing your face or not, that doesn't really matter because it's just saying it out loud. Sometimes people can't even say that. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Some people can't do that.
But thank you guys. Thank you for having me. I'm glad I was able to help and share what I could share.
Yeah,
Once I get a little
Thank
more
you.
braver, and if you guys want to have me back on,
yeah,
you guys
We
will
would
probably
we would love to have you back on.
freak out with what more my poor baby had to go through.
yeah.
So
I bet.
If you're willing to, thank you for the stories. It thank you for your perspective as well. A lot of people wouldn't like Jaime said. A lot of people wouldn't be able to talk about these things, and
Mhm.
this is one of the reasons why we made the channel for these stories, for these things to make it out there,
Mhm.
and for people to understand like, hey, these things happen. You're not the only one. So
Yeah,
we
that.
just wanted.
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, for sure. Thank
100% true what Pete said. You know, and so hopefully they don't feel alone. You know, so that's another thing that I wanted. Perfect segue to what I wanted to say is whoever's watching this, you know, like it and share this recording or the YouTube videos that we have, because someone might relate to what we're talking about, or someone might need to hear what we're talking about. So this would be great for you know, someone that's going through probably similar situation like you know, taking
Yes.
care of a kid that's not theirs, and you know, learning for the first time being a parent, or having a really troubled child. So you know,
yes,
it's
for sure.
someone could definitely learn from this. But
Yes,
yeah,
very
we're gonna
much.
be back on obviously next Monday. It's gonna be a different episode that we originally planned, like how Pete said. We were originally gonna meet up and stuff, but we're gonna have someone over. We don't know who it is yet, but we'll definitely have someone over.
You
We'll
know what?
announce it.
Let's just go with the audience and let's just get drunk and answer questions.
You really want to do that?
Let's do it.
Okay.
Let's do it.
All right.
Let's
Well,
do it.
All right. We'll do that then. Oh god, I have to. All right, I'm gonna have to.
Gotta
better.
prepare your liver.
Yeah, I have to prepare my liver. All right. Well, thank you very much, everybody, for listening. And like I said, share the videos and like our stuff, because it really does help. And
Yes, sir.
we're gonna improve the podcast even more. So, thank you all for listening. Laters.
Peace.